You can't say a number that is so far out of the range.
Yeah. When you want to really name a price, name the value that makes you feel nauseous. Like when you say it, you're like, ah.
Welcome back to the Icon Edit. I am your host, Ivona. We all know that feeling. You want to negotiate your salary, but your brain turns it into a full-time project. You rehearse sentences in your head, you worry about tone, you wonder how to say it without sounding difficult, and you delay the conversation because you want it to be perfect. Today, I'm joined by Gloria, a negotiation expert and coach. We break down what actually works, how to open the conversation, how to talk about your value, how to respond when you hear there's no budget, and how to negotiate the full package, not just the number. Let's get into it. Gloria, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Gloria, what's the short version of your story, and was there a moment that made you take negotiations seriously?
You know, I like how you're like, what's a short version? Because you never want to have a long version.
No, I mean, you can do the long version.
No,
as
I'll
well.
do the short. I'll do the short. So I am an internal medicine physician. I'm trained in the U.S., and I also have a master's and a PhD. My PhD is in health services policy and management. And however, my negotiation story started long ago when I was little. So I'm from a really big family. I'm number 5 of 7 kids. Oh. And in my family, there's hierarchy. There's daddy, there's mommy, there's my big sisters, and then it goes down. So I'm at the bottom of the food chain. So I was that person who they would say, go ask daddy for this, go. And so it was my job to go ask. And my dad is like super smart. Mm-hmm. Like he would ask you all these questions. And then I started honing my skills. Like before I go ask, I already know, okay, dad is going to ask me this, I'm going to respond. And then I just got better and better and better. And then I took more training, read more books, did my PhD in leadership, and then my skill just got better to the extent that when I was still in the U.S. practicing medicine full-time, I was working 3 days a week. I couldn't even count my number of vacation days, and I was being paid it was full salary, all my benefits, but I was working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was able to negotiate that, not just for me, but for all the doctors in my practice.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. So that's how your negotiation journey started. What did you believe back then about negotiation that you have completely changed your mind about now?
That's a good one. I would have to think through to see if there's anything that has really changed. Because for me, it's always been like a dance. It's always been like, okay, you're going to move this way, I'm going to move this way. We're going to move this way until we get to that sweet spot where both of us are happy, right? So it's always been that. I think the older, because when I was younger, it's more like, okay, go ask daddy for this. And it's more like, okay, I want this. But after a while, it was more like, okay, so what am I going to tell daddy we're going to do in exchange for this thing we're going to get, right? So it got better and better and better that it's more like I give, I take, I give, I take, I give, I take. So it's like a dance where both people are just in harmony as much as possible.
Yeah. What kind of clients do you work with most today? Is it like corporate clients or founders or executives? Tell me.
Initially, when I started with women.
Okay.
But now I have more men reaching out to me.
Okay.
Yes. So it was women. I'm like, yes, women, we don't negotiate enough. So I need to help us. However, if you have this desire for a particular demographics and they're not responding to you, then the other person who's responding to you, then you got to pivot. And so that's what I did. So now I work with men and women. I work with everybody. And I've worked with doctors. I've worked with VCs. I think right now I'm working with a group of VCs. That's where like I'm pivoting a little bit more into just helping them look at the deals. And then I'm like, okay, we can move this. This doesn't make sense and all of that. But I work with a wide range of people.
Okay.
Yes.
You also have your own podcast, which I will, of course, link in the show notes. Can you tell us what you are discussing there and in which way it helps whom?
Oh, man, I love your questions. So my podcast is called Negotiation Secrets. And when I started, it was me talking about giving tips on negotiation and all of that. After a while, I started to pivot a little bit. I'm like, negotiation, fine, I know it's about salaries, it's about, work. However, we negotiate for the life that we want. And it was when I moved to Dubai, because I left my wonderful practice that I love so much in America and then came here because I was negotiating for the life that I want. And so now my podcast, we talk about salaries, but we just talk about life. So what skill set do you need for you to fight for that life that you want, for you to really negotiate with yourself, with the world, for the kind of life that you want to live? So that's where I am with my podcast at this point.
That's so good. And I really recommend listening to it because it's good. When high-performing women come to you, what are the patterns you see again and again?
Yeah.
Because I think especially women, we have this kind of imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And that imposter syndrome, it comes from you wanting to be perfect, right? So you look at yourself, you feel, oh, I need to have all the skills for me to achieve this. And then you don't look at the ones you already have. You're looking at, okay, I still don't know how to speak very fluently. I still don't know how to do this. But you could do so much more. Rather than focus on what you have, you focus on what you don't have. So that leads to imposter syndrome. But the pattern I've seen more with women is that they're just scared of asking. They don't ask enough. They don't ask. And two things, they don't ask and they don't brag enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Yes.
So do you think this is kind of a blind spot for women, that they are not confident enough to brag about what they can do?
Growing up, they tell people do not feel entitled, but you need to feel entitled. To a certain extent. You do not have to be obnoxious. You do not have to be arrogant, but you need to tell yourself, I deserve to be here. I've earned the right to be here. If they open the door for me, then it means there's something inside me that made me qualify for this. And then you own own your power, own your position. Yeah. Yes.
When women, I found out, when women are negotiating, they often have this I don't want to seem difficult feeling, because in some environments women are perceived as difficult when they ask too much.
Yeah. So the thing first of all is what's too much?
Yeah.
What is too much, right? I'd rather be too much than too little. Anytime, any day, I'd rather be like, oh, she's too much. Yes, I am too much, if that's what you want to call me. I think it's just getting to the point where you own your identity.
Yeah.
Just own it. This is who I am. I remember when there was a job I started and they gave me the schedule. The first schedule, I took it. It looked great. Then the next thing, they gave me the schedule. I'm saying nights. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And then all my friends were like, oh, Gloria, you just got here. You don't want to be the doctor. I said, oh, I want to be the doctor. I want them to know that if you give me stuff I don't like, I'll let you know that I don't like it. I just want to let them know on time. So the next time you're doing the schedule, they'll be like, oh, she's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I want to be liked, right? Yeah. I'm not like, oh, I don't care. I want to be liked. I want to be respected. But if you don't like me, I really do not care.
Yeah.
Especially when I haven't done anything to hurt you. I haven't done anything purposefully. If I hurt you, I said something wrong to you, I would apologize. That's not what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But if I'm trying to create boundaries or ask for what I want, or I'm firm, then people say, oh, I don't like her. It's okay. I don't want you to. I don't want that cheap that likeness where it's not, there's really no value to me at the end of the day. Oh, she's so sweet. And then at the end of the day, there's nothing to show for it.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
So how do you negotiate assertively without tipping into the too aggressive mode?
Yeah.
And especially in environments where women are judged differently.
So there are some books you read, they tell you when you want to go negotiate, you sit up like this, your face is like this, your shoulders. That's bullcrap. I am myself. However, where I feel, that's how I go negotiate. So if you're someone I'm friendly with, I would go laugh. If I'm not too used to you, I would still be, because I'm a friendly person by nature, I would still be friendly. But beyond all of those externals, the most important thing is to do your homework. There's something we call BATNA when we negotiate, and that's your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So the stronger your options are, the more powerful you're negotiating. So let's say you're at a job where you like, the job is okay, and then you are going somewhere else. You're like, okay, let me just try and see what's out there, and you're getting other offers. If the offers are not as great as what you have, then the way you're going to negotiate, you're not going to negotiate from fear, because I already have a good option there, right? So the more options you have, then the more powerful you can negotiate because you're not afraid.
But what is when people are afraid that someone will withdraw the offer if they come in too aggressively? Because that happens often. I see that people are saying, no, I don't want to say too much because then they will maybe withdraw the offer.
So it depends. So even I've had people who would negotiate with me and I would draw my offer because it's just unreasonable, right? So because I look at the number, I'm like, so where are we going to start from? This is just unreasonable. I can't even deal with you. I'll go look for someone who's more reasonable. So it's for you to, first of all, do your market analysis. I understand I'm the queen of know your value, know your worth, anytime, any day, but I really mean know your value, know your worth. So if you're worth this, don't say you're worth that, right?
Yeah.
You could build your skill set so you become this, but when you don't have that skill set, you could go a little bit higher, but do not go ask for what you do not deserve. And people are just going to, I remember when I was, one of my friends, he was like, oh, Gloria, right? You're going to, you know how much you bring for the hospitals when you work for them? You bring more than $1 million a year. So go ask for $1 million. I'm like, guy, no. I can't go ask. There's no internal medicine doctor except I own my practice. Like no one's going to pay me that. That's going to make me look stupid. So you don't want to go ask for what's going to make you stupid. But at the same time, know the market value. And there's nothing wrong with being friendly when you're asking. Yeah. You don't have to be aggressive to ask. And as a woman, own your feminine power. You don't have to pretend to be a guy. Men, everybody was made specially. Men are men, women are women. I'm not trying to be a man. And I am myself, like 100% myself. So I negotiate in the fullness of myself without trying to be anybody else. So if I will be friendly, because the more people like you, the more they will give you stuff, right? The more they'll let things go because they like you. So it's still to be friendly. You don't have to demand. You can ask. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between demanding and asking, and then also leaving room for you to go back and forth. So for me, this is how I describe good negotiation. You know you've won in any negotiation if it's a win-win for both parties, right? They trust you, and they're willing to do business with you again. That's how you know you've won. Not necessarily by you getting everything you want. Because there was a girl who we helped negotiate her salary. She told us a number that she said, oh, they were paying me, I'll just throw numbers out there. She said, oh, they were paying me $300,000. And so we're trying to negotiate for $350,000. Not knowing, and for less work hours, not knowing she was being paid like $250,000 before. I don't know what, she gave us the wrong numbers. And so we were pushing for it. They gave us what we wanted, but they were so pissed at all. They were so pissed. Like, they were like, we're going to give you guys this. Do not ever come back. That was not a win.
No, definitely not. And they will also not recommend you.
Yes, that was not a win. Yeah.
So how do you know your value? Because this is sometimes so hard to put in numbers.
Correct. Especially if you are kind of fluid in your career, you're a consultant. But another thing, so the first thing you look at is what value am I going to bring to the table? Okay, so I'll tell you in different industries. So when I consult, what I know is whatever you're going to pay me, I'm going to 10x it for you, right? Okay. I know you're going to 10x whatever. Because there's someone who I helped negotiate. She was going to be fired. She got a raise instead. Yes,
okay.
yes, she got a raise.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she got a raise instead. So if I know at least 3 times the value, that's just for me, for someone who I am consulting, who I'm helping to strategize and all of that. But if you work in corporate, for every role, we know what the salary is, right? You go on Glassdoor, you ask people around, you know what that value is, and then you use that as a benchmark. And then something else is you look inwards and say, okay, this is what this role entails. What else do I bring to the table beyond what they're just asking for? Yeah. You know, and now that branding and visibility it's big, that's something that people can take with them and say, you know what, I have 1 million followers, like this, I can market for you. So those are little things you can use, you can add to the table when you're negotiating and say, okay, I can do this more, I can do that more, I can do that more. That's what differentiates you from the other person. Yeah, but...
Yeah, that's so true. I never thought about that. But of course, if you're a brand ambassador somehow, then this gives a lot of value to the company.
Yeah, because you can help them sell.
I often hear that negotiation means conflict.
Oh, no.
You don't see that way, right?
I love negotiating. I do. I do. And even when And even when I don't win, I still like it. Like I've had people who have worked for me and I fired them and we're still friends. And I call them, I'm like, yeah, I need help with this. And they do it. Right? And there's no one who's worked for me who has stopped working for me, who I cannot reach out to right now to say, hey, I need your help, and they're happy to help me. They would respond to my message. So I love negotiating. It's not conflict. Like I said earlier, it's like a dance. Yeah. I'm trying to meet your needs. You're trying to meet my needs. I'm like, okay, how can I add more value to you? And I hope you're thinking of how you can add more value to me. And if you're not thinking about how to add value to me, I'll show you how you can add value to me, right? So that's what it's all about. It's all about value. You're giving value and you're taking value back. It's an exchange. It's not war. It's like it's the most pleasant thing ever, because you're thinking of how can I make this place better? So for example, let's say someone wants to go ask for a raise. If I want to go ask for a raise, I'm not just going to say, oh, I deserve a raise, give me a raise. It's no. This raise that you're going to give to me, this is how I can help. If I'm going to ask for a new position, I'm like, okay, so if you give me this leadership position, with this, I can do this, and this for you, right? It's more like aligning my ask to the value of the company rather than I'm aligning the ask to myself, me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
No, it's more like, so it's like, this is what I can do for you, but I need this from you for me to be able to do this for you.
Yeah. So why do you think that people are so afraid of negotiating, and why do they do mid-negotiation this over-explaining?
Because people are scared of hearing no.
Okay, that's a very simple psychological explanation.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Like people are scared of rejection.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes you just get when they reject you a lot and it doesn't touch you anymore, right? Then it becomes a challenge. Then that's when. So for me, I'm not. No, doesn't even touch me anymore. It may touch me a little bit, nice, like, and then I just get going again, right? But it's more like, if you say no, I could say, when can we come back and revisit this conversation?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Because
when let's say like in a corporate environment, you go and ask for a raise because you have been there for some time and your role has more responsibilities now.
Yeah.
Then when you hear a no,
yeah,
I think it's not good for both sides, because the person who's asking maybe then thinks, okay, then I will
leave. They become demoralized, or they just give the barest minimum. Yeah.
And the employer also knows
that they've hurt the person's feelings. Yes. So you don't close the door. You leave it open. So you could say, if they say no, then you say, what do I need to achieve for me to get a yes? Or when can I come back?
Yeah.
You don't close the door. You leave it open. And then they give you a timeline, and then you come back.
So do you think that this we're solving it together vibe is only possible if you are confident in your value and you say what you bring to the table, right? Is this the only way, I guess?
Well, sometimes it's you say this is what I bring to the table. Sometimes it's you telling them the needs you're going to meet. Mm-hmm. Right? So, you have this need, I can take care of this, we can do this, we can do that together. If you give me, it's not like you don't, even though it's like it's a trade, we all know it's a trade. However, you already know what you want. So you don't lead with your need anymore. You lead with their need. That makes it a lot easier because if someone walks up to you and like, hey, Ivana, I can do this for you. Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. You're much more interested than saying, you know what, I want you to pay me this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you lead with the service that you're going to provide. I'm not saying do not ask for what you want, but you lead with the service. Yeah.
What kind of evidence do you think is the strongest in a negotiation? Is it metrics, outcomes, revenue impact, leadership? What do people want to hear?
It varies. Everyone is different.
Depends on the role, I guess, right?
Depends on the role, depends on the deal, depends on the setting, so many things. So I would have all my metrics because you do your homework. I have all my metrics. But when I go negotiate, I do not go with like a preconceived idea of what this person would want. I go in there, I start to listen. I listen for what's being said. I listen to what's not being said. I listen to how they respond to some things that I say. So it's like your ears are open, your eyes are open. You're very, very sensitive. So there's some words you say. You notice the person has flinched. You're like, okay, You may decide to, okay, maybe I need to explore this a little bit, or you're like, okay, I'm never going to say that word again because that, So it's just to be very observant and then to see every role is different, every role is different, every situation is different. There's no one size fits all.
How do you know when is the right time to ask for, like, let's say a raise?
If you feel like you deserve it.
Okay, so there is no perfect time.
There's no perfect time. Something else you could do is if you want a raise, you can go get another job. You could go interview, and then when you have an offer, then that gives you you could say, you know what, I really like it here. I don't want to go, but I got this offer, and yes. And you don't want to bluff too much because after they could call you off on your bluff. They could say, okay, you can go.
Oh, yeah. So you have to really have it in the pocket before you do it. What are phrases that you can use, like, in the beginning or when you start a conversation like this? Do you go up to someone and say, hey, can we have a talk about my salary? Or
there's no hard and fast rule. It depends on who the person is, the relationship you have with the person. I've asked for like things on a text message. I'm like, hey, hey, I really want this. What do you think? So it depends on the relationship. Some it will be the phone. Some you have to go say it in person. Some it has to be an email. So there's a trail. So it depends. Every situation is different. However, there's some things that would never fail you. Empathy, right? Hearing the other person out and then telling them that, letting them know that you hear them, letting them know that you understand, that never fails, right? Whatever counter offer or counter excuse they give you, you saying, doesn't mean you agree, but you can label that whatever emotion or whatever. You can say, I hear you, this is, I can understand why you say there's no budget and things like that. That doesn't fail when you always understand the other person, but you don't have to agree with that person. Yeah.
That would have been my next question. So what do you say when someone says that's not possible at the moment, or we don't have any budget? Then what do you say? Like,
well, there are different ways to say it. So you could say, if they say there's no budget, there's something we call mirroring, right? So we do mirroring when we're trying to get more information from you. So you could say, when they say there's no budget, you're like, there's no budget? And then the person starts to talk. And then the person talks again. You take the last 3 words of what they said and you say it again to them. And they keep talking, So it gives you more information for you to know what next steps to take or what to say to them next.
Okay.
Yeah, mirroring is a very good tool.
And you can always ask, as you said, to revisit the...
But before you say let's revisit, you got to dig a little bit. They can't just tell you, oh, there's no budget. And you're like, okay, can I? No, you're like, oh, there's no budget. You can't just, no, you can't just the first time, no. Because that's what they're going to tell you. Everybody wants to maximize on their profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you dig in a little bit and then before you say, when can I come back? Or what do I need to do to earn that?
I have also found that women are really having a hard time with giving numbers. So often in these negotiations, when it comes to salary, they ask you, so what do you have in mind?
Yeah.
And then you have to say a number.
Yeah.
And then people are afraid to say the number that they really want.
Yeah.
And they say it way lower than...
They really want to say it. Yeah. So there are two ways. So I do not recommend you going first, especially when you don't know the market range. Because some things you're like, I'm not really sure what to ask for at this point in time. I don't know what So you can ask them, what's the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if they tell you, if they could tell you what's the budget, and then they give you a range, and then you ask them, how much flexibility do we have with this? Or if you know the market range, then you can anchor. Anchoring is when you go first. Because once you anchor, then that becomes the benchmark from which you are negotiating. Yeah. On the other hand, some tricks some people do is, I don't call them tricks, just like, is maybe you give me the number and it's ridiculous, I'm not going to call that number back to you. I could just say, I'm not going to agree with that. I'm not going to give you power by repeating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's so hard. And also, as you said in the beginning, you don't want to sound ridiculous, right? You can't say a number that is so far out of the range.
Yeah.
Because
but something else is, so I have this mastermind that I used to be a part of. There's something else we tell ourselves is, when you want to really name a price, name the value that makes you feel nauseous. Like when you say it, you're like, ah.
Okay.
That's so, yes. So if you're like, oh, 200 dirhams, then you're comfortable. But when you go, you call that number and you're like, you feel nauseous. That's when you know you've hit the right number.
Oh, okay. That's a good trick, actually. If let's say salary truly can't move because there is something going on, and you can't, is it advisable to negotiate something else instead? Like, let's say, okay, then can I have 1 day off or like 10 hours less or something? Does this make sense?
Oh, yeah, of course it makes a lot of sense. There's so many things you can negotiate beyond. Sometimes we get fixated on salary, but salary sometimes is a list thing, right? You can negotiate like a title, because sometimes people say, there's so much stuff people say, oh, titles are not important. They're important, right? So if you go represent your company, there are places they would let you in because you are the vice president, right? So you could negotiate a title and say, well, if you guys can give me, because it's not going to cost them anything to give you a title, you could ask for that. You can negotiate a parking slot. Yeah. You can negotiate corner office. You could negotiate you having a secretary to help you with some of the stuff that you do. You could negotiate more vacation days. So many things you can ask for. Yeah.
But then you have to be really careful that your scope of your responsibilities doesn't become bigger without a raise, right?
You have to be careful. However, if I'm just going to ask for, if you're going to give me a position, right, just because as a trade-off for salary, we did not trade off responsibilities. It's just the name I wanted, right? So you have to make it clear and say this. And if they're asking, if they're going to give, because number one, I'm asking for a raise and you're not going to give it to me. And I'm saying, okay, give me this title. And then you're adding more responsibility to it. Then that's when you say, okay, no. Yeah. And you don't have to, not every offer, you don't have to accept every offer.
Yeah, that's true. What's the most surprising negotiation that you have seen, and what made it work?
So the one I talked about earlier, like the girl that we were negotiating for her salary, that was the one of the most surprising, because I felt really it was not a win in the real sense of the word win, but we won, right? We won, but I was like, oh, so we could even push for this. They were so angry, like, you guys do not come back, do not come back. This is it. But I was like, oh, so we could get away with this. She still works there now, right? So I'm like, so we could get away with this. So that was a win that I really liked. And the other win was, someone who was going to be fired. It was just reframing, letting them see. She just was not letting them see all what she was bringing to the table. She was a doctor, wasn't working as a doctor. She had a master's in health informatics and did not let them know she had all of that. All the work she was doing, they really did not know. I'm like, oh no, we got to put this in an email and send to your boss. And she got a raise instead of being fired.
So how does that work in a practical sense when someone comes to you? Do you do sessions with them where you tell them what to do, or do you really respond for them? So when they get an email, they ask you, hey, what should I respond to this?
It depends. So now I am starting a negotiation lab, right? So where I would have people come in, it would be like a few weeks where we are going over different concepts when it comes to negotiation, and then people can ask their questions and then go carry it out. So the people that I coach at the beginning, it depends on how much coaching they need. So at the beginning, they could say, okay, what do you think about this email? I can say, okay, let's tweak this around. And it depends on the urgency, right? So the one that's really urgent, they're going to fire you. I'll take care of that for you. Let's secure your job first, and then we can start building off of that. So it varies, depends on the need. The goal is when you are transitioning, I'm not typing your emails for you anymore because I want you to be independent. I don't want you dependent on me. I want you to get the skills so you can stand on your own and maybe help someone else.
Also in the future, right?
Yeah.
So this one may be a really hard question, but what do you think is the smallest mindset change that creates the biggest shift in outcomes?
Oh, that's easy.
Oh, okay.
Just keep asking. Ask your kids to bring you coffee. Ask your spouse to help you make dinner. Ask your friends if they want to hang out with you, even when you don't. Just ask, practice it. That's so, because the more you ask, then you don't feel hung up anymore to ask. It's small, and you don't have to wait till it's high stakes.
Yeah.
Just keep. So there's some of my friends and some of the people who I work with, there's one lady in particular, she said, I don't want to ask. I'm like, why? I said, you know what we're going to do? So for every week, ask for a minimum of 20 things and document that.
Yeah.
So that's
even in her private life, you mean?
Much more in your private life. You want, because the more you ask in your private life, because you're one person.
Yeah.
The more you ask in your private life, the more you're going to ask when you get to work. And even when you get to work, just ask your boss, hey, I may be coming an hour late tomorrow, because you're just testing, you're just practicing, and you'll be surprised.
I found that it's especially so hard for women who are mothers, because as a mother, you need a lot of help.
Yes.
They say it takes a village, right, to raise a kid.
It takes a village.
But so many women that I know are just afraid to ask for help.
Oh, my God.
This is basically the same thing.
You know what? I think that mindset has to change. People think they have kids. Oh, that's my baby. That's this world tricking you. That's the child for the world. It's not your child. You're just helping us raise the baby, right? When your mother was raising you, she was raising you for this moment. You're here now. I'm talking to you. When my mother was raising me, she was raising me for this moment, for the world. Look, my mother called me. She called me yesterday evening. I was in a meeting. I couldn't take the call. I got home. I was tired out. And then this morning, I was like getting ready. I'm like, she's in the US. I'm like, she's still sleeping. I haven't called her back, right? So that's my mother. She gave birth to me. And I haven't talked to her for so long. So I'm a gift. She gave birth to me for the world. So I think women need to have that mindset to say, you know what? My child, fine, I bore this child, but this child is a gift to the world. So I'm not going to feel guilty. Because if all the women who are on earth right now don't have kids, this world would end.
Yeah.
So you're doing this whole world a favor in keeping it going. So do not feel guilty.
And you can't do it alone. It's not possible.
No, you can't. So it's a favor you're doing the world. Someone gave birth to the president, right? Someone gave birth to the sheikh. Someone gave birth to governors. So you're doing the world a favor. So I don't think there should be guilt. If your child is sick, you just go ask for time. Like my child is, because that might be the president you're taking to the hospital. That might be a teacher you're taking to the hospital. That might be a doctor you're taking to the hospital.
Yeah.
So do not feel guilty for helping the world, to train someone for the world. No, there's no guilt.
That's true.
Yeah.
If there was one thing you would like for people to remember about negotiation from this episode, what would it be?
What I want you to remember is keep asking. Because whatever, you see, people go to the gym, they develop their muscle, it gets bigger, it gets stronger. It gets bigger and stronger because they use it all the time. Keep asking. Don't wait till when it's that big ask. That's when you're going to feel very nervous. Keep asking. Ask for the little things. Ask and ask and ask. And even if people label you as an asker, that's fine, but also be a giver. So you are asking and you're giving in exchange.
Yeah. And also don't be afraid to hear a no, right?
Oh, the more you ask, the more no's you're going to get.
Yeah, and that's not the worst thing. I once heard from Kris Jenner, she's the mother of the Kardashian girls. She said, if you hear a no, you're asking the wrong person. And that's actually so good.
It could be the wrong person. It could be the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes it could be.
That's why you have to keep asking.
You have to keep asking.
Yeah. That's such a good takeaway, I think, from this episode.
Yeah.
Gloria, thank you so much. This was incredibly practical and empowering, I think. If you're listening and you're about to negotiate something, a role, a raise, a rate, or even boundaries, save this episode and come back to it. And if it helped you, share it with a friend who needs that extra push. I will link Gloria's accounts and website and everything in the show notes, and also, of course, a podcast, so you can check it out for yourself. Thank you, Gloria, for being here. This was amazing.
My absolute pleasure.
Just keep asking.
Yes.
That's my takeaway.
Yes, keep asking.
Thank you.
Of course. Are we done?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fast. How many minutes did we do?
35 or something. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.